Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails. 3v3 is back in Grand Arena Championships, whether you like it or not. We're not sure if there's going to be ships. I kind of think there will not be ships because the developers have released a list of feats for us to do, and none of them have to do with ships. So we may, for the first time in the championship format, actually see 3v3, a full map of 3v3, I should say. So that's going to be interesting. On the other hand, I understand this is a very controversial game mode. A lot of people are happy about 3v3. They like it. And other people are hateful and resentful and angry, and they are gnashing their teeth and they are wailing in no particular order. And honestly, I get both sides. I like 3v3 because of the potential for theorycraft. It's completely new in terms of just things that we can do in the game. But on the other hand, I also understand why people don't like it. It's kind of a worthless game mode because it's we don't ever use 3v3 in any aspect of the game. The developers don't balance the game based off of 3v3. It's kind of just a weird aside game mode. And so you start seeing some weird teams, you see some weird team comps. It can be really frustrating. You have way more teams and way more fights to do, so it takes a little bit longer. So I get it. I get both sides. It does give us good practice for Omega battles in case some of us need to brush up on those skills. So there's always that. But otherwise, today I wanted to talk a little bit about just three different things. First, I wanted to talk about the different resources available for people who are intimidated by this game mode, whether you use that word or not. People don't like it, but because they don't know what to do. They don't know the different counters, the different defenses to set. And so I want to talk about different resources available for people who want to do some research. I like to do research, and I'm not intimidated. That's not the word I choose to use for 3v3. So, but I still do research. So, I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the big elephant in the room, Galactic Legends. People are really angry. They say that Galactic Legends have broken the game. I want to talk about, or at least this game mode, I want to talk about if that's actually true, or at least my take on it, and some approaches that I've been thinking about for Galactic Legends in 3v3. And then finally, I want to just go over a couple counters, just kind of get the creative juices flowing for you guys, talk about things that haven't happened for 5 months. We haven't done this mode for 5 months, and I'm excited. Obviously, I'm excited for 3v3. Always loved it. My buddy SoloBase15 is probably watching this and shaking his head in consternation, or probably just stubborn, reluctant acceptance. But one way or another, let's dive into it. And before we actually get into it, I did want to throw a huge shout out to my patrons. Really, really appreciate you guys and all of your support. You guys are amazing. First, I wanted to talk about the counter sheet that I've developed for 3v3 and also for 5v5. So what we've done, and my buddy SoloBase15 also contributes to this, so it's not just me, but what we've done, we've been playing Grand Arena for over a year at this point, and that's a lot of matches, and we've recorded almost all of them. I've recorded all of them. Solo hasn't recorded quite as many, but he's done quite a few. And what we do is we sort by enemy leader, and we write down the entire team that we've countered, and then we write down the entire team we've countered them with, and then provide a video link to that, just for your convenience to be able to do some research and see what teams you can beat with what. So let's actually jump into a video on how to use that right now. So first you want to go into this video's video description. Click on the Grand Arena Counters link. It'll take you to this page. Once you get to this page, you would see tabs at the bottom left, 5v5 and 3v3. 5v5 is the default. You want to click on 3v3 for 3v3 matches, as you may guess, and then you're going to scroll down. Right now what we're doing, we're looking for General Grievous counters, and we want to find something that is not a Jedi Knight Revan counter. We want to find something else. So you see on the left hand side the leader, that's the enemy leader, and we found General Grievous, GG, that's the acronym for him. And then we're going to zoom in a little bit Good, there's some Rex teams that we can use to counter them. So we're gonna then click on the link there next to Rex, and it'll take us straight to YouTube. Now in the YouTube video, you can pause or stop it or whatever. You want to go to that video's video description, and from there, you can scroll down and see all the different timestamps for the different matches that I've played. And those timestamps, the ones that we want on the top, you can see the blue link on the left of it. You click on that link, that's the one for Rex versus General Grievous, and it'll take you to the video, the part of that video where I'm using Rex to take out General Grievous. And then you can see a video of me beating General Grievous and what order I went about beating that team, and just how I beat that team down exactly. And in my opinion, that's way better than seeing a couple floating heads showing that Commander Luke counters Mother Talzin. It's like, how does he do that? It's nice to have a practical example of it, in my opinion. That is the counter sheet, and I do keep it updated and maintained. Obviously, there are going to be some counters that aren't on there that do exist because I haven't tried it. Solo hasn't tried it. All of the counters right now are all 5 months old at best. So we're going to need to do some more cleaning up on that, but it does exist and it's free to use, so please feel free. If there are different counters that you need to find out about that haven't been put on that sheet, then you can always go to my Discord server, and that's another resource that I want to discuss a little bit here. There are a lot of different good elements to it, so let's go to a video. Now, our Discord server is actually named after the name of the podcast that Solo Base and I do, called The Gambit, and the entire Discord is basically just a place to hang out and talk about Grand Arena. You can ask questions, you can do theorycraft, you can just complain about RNG if you want, complain about people who don't attack in territory wars, etc. It's just a great place for a lot of people who are passionate about Grand Arena to come and hang out and talk about it. That's also the home of where my patrons hang out, and I only mention that because that's also a place that you can get advice. I realize that comes with a price tag and all of that, but just something worth looking into potentially. And finally, there are links to the Gambit podcast, which is Grand Arena centered and also pretty cool in my opinion. The final resource that I want to talk about is not necessarily my resource to talk about necessarily. It is available to everyone, and I wanted to spread some knowledge that I don't think is necessarily that widespread. The fact is, you can actually access more than 3 weeks of your Grand Arena history and your opponent's Grand Arena history on the website, and that just shows all of your attacks, all of your defenses, so that you can tell if someone's cheating against you, or to see check on some new counters. And it's been 5 months, but we have Grand Arena history available for that far back, and I wanted to show you guys how to do it. So first, you're going to need to search your opponent's name. You type in SWGOH space GG space screen name or player name, and once you get there, usually the Google search will get you to the point where you can click on that person's name, go to their Grand Arena history, and after that, I'll show you guys how to get to previous weeks, not just the 3 most recent, but to all of them since Grand Arena history was available. Okay, so you found the Grand Arena history. First thing you will need to do is get out of round 1 and go into just round 2, and that changes something in the address for the URL. So you go into round 2 here as shown, and then look at the URL. You can see I've sketchily underlined GAC equals 18. You want to change that into GAC equals 3. You can delete everything after that. Those things aren't important, and GAC3 just means the 3rd week that it's been recorded. So now you can see that it's a way earlier date. It's back from 2019, and you can see 3v3 pops up, and you can check out what they've done 5 months ago. All right, so that was some pretty sweet discussion on Grand Arena history and Discord and the counter sheet and all of those things. And now I want to change course. I don't know what you guys want, but I want to change course and talk a little bit about the Galactic Legends. And everyone says that Galactic Legends in 3v3 are so dumb, and that they're already overpowered in 5v5. Now we have 2 fewer characters to be able to counter them with. How can we possibly do it? And frankly, I get it. I'm actually in the same boat. I'm actually pretty nervous about their impact on 3v3 because the developers don't actually balance this game based off of 3v3. They don't. I don't think you could. I don't think you can do that unless you're developing specific characters for 3v3, which they haven't done, or at least they haven't said they've done. So I get it. It's a little scary. I do think that Supreme Leader Kylo is probably going to be the most manageable. I'm guessing that General Skywalker plus Thrawn, or some combination like that, is probably going to do you right. I think that the mirror matches, or just Galactic Legends versus Galactic Legends in general, you're going to be able to find a way through. Mods are going to play a factor in team comp. I haven't necessarily seen a ton of play that I necessarily trust for 3v3 with Galactic Legends, but you guys should stay tuned to this channel. I'm sure Solo Base 15, my buddy, will be checking that out. Klesso, Indigo, and all these different YouTubers are going to be exploring 3v3 with Galactic Legends and in 3v3. So lots of different resources available for that. But one thing I did want to show you guys is it's kind of a sketchy way to beat Rey, but I think it works decently well. So I went into one of the top end players, Grand Arena history recently, and just to see what counters they're using. I like to do my random research on different good players to see what I can do to get an edge, and I came across this pretty strange thing. So what happened was they used a Jedi Knight Revan team to counter Galactic Rey and failed, and after that what they did might surprise you. So you can see here the fail. Jedi Revan did not hurt Rey's health at all. And now, these are just really fast screenshots. These are all worthless, low-level characters that they're throwing at Rey. Look at her health as it goes down. The mechanic is that every once in a while, Rey goes and heals the rest of her team, and that hurts her, and it brings her below this 50% health or 60% health, whatever, where she can get the invulnerable tag or buff or whatever you want to call it, and that eventually leads to Shock T coming in and just destroying her, and I don't know, that could be a potential way to counter Rey in the future. So there you have it, folks. Just kind of an interesting thing. Who knows if it's going to get fixed, if it's an exploit. I kind of don't think it's going to get fixed. That's a pretty key part of her kit. They'll have to change her AI significantly, dramatically, really, if they want to stop that from happening. And it's annoying enough. Really, I'm annoyed if I'm going to have to beat Galactic Rey through that method. I don't know if I necessarily want to do it, but it can potentially get you a win. So just something to be thinking about. And finally, I do want to talk a little bit about established counters that are non-mirror matches to top teams out there, which namely I want to talk about Darth Revan, and I want to talk about General Skywalker, and different ways that you can beat them, ways that I've specifically beat them in the past. They're not pretty or anything necessarily, but they are ways to get through it if you need to use Darth Revan for something else and you can't afford the mirror, or you're just slower, or some other factors at work. Just something to be keeping in mind. 3v3 is about a lot of fails and failed attacks. There is efficiency to be found in 3v3, but the fact is failure is more common in my experience. maybe failure is just more common for me. I don't know, but one way or another, here's the counter that I used for General Skywalker. I'm not going to show every single video, the full length of it, but I do want to discuss it just a little bit. Alright, so here we have a pretty classic Commander Luke versus General Skywalker, just minimized or reduced, whatever this is, 5 months ago. So this is before I even had a 7-star Skywalker, and we're just using Commander Luke to counter it because that's probably all I really had available. There wasn't really a good answer for General Skywalker at the time. Now, skipping forward just a little bit, you see that it didn't take long. It took less than a minute for Skywalker to just completely WTF pwn my poor Commander Luke team, so I eventually sent in this Shore Trooper squad to take the brunt. Emperor Palpatine used his healing thing, and Probe Droid blew General Skywalker up. So pretty cool. The next thing I want to show you is how I counter Darth Revan here. Throw in some Tuskens to kill a lot of the cooldowns of the really strong. This is all Relic 7 Jedi Revan, or Darth Revan. And what we need to do with Commander Luke here, they're once again our sacrificial pawn. We need to kill Bastila Shan Fallen because all of her debuffs really mess with other teams and characters. So once you take her out, she's honestly like probably the most important character on that team. Despite the power level of Darth Revan and Malak, Bastila is just amazing. And then I went in, these are all Relic bounty hunters, but keep in mind these are Relic 7 Sith that they're taking on, and because of the Bosk lead and the way it interacts with the buffs that Darth Revan, or debuffs that he hands out to his team, Bosk actually ends up being a really great off-meta counter for Darth Revan teams as long as you have enough relic levels and as long as Bastila isn't there, which is pretty big. So the final thing I wanted to mention here, this is one of my favorite counters. This is more of a fun counter. Everyone's Gear 12. Remember, this is 5 months ago, so that was way more common. And the Dooku lead team with Nest and Jango. I had Watt and Embo and Sun Fac, some pretty random leftover characters. And so I'm just showing you guys the highlights. You give the taunting tech to Sun Fac so that Dooku can't hit Embo. The other two can, actually, because they can ignore taunt. But after that, the weapons tech on Embo really helps him take a lot of turns. And eventually, you see that Jango has him on the ropes. He's about dead. I have one more throw, and because he has the weapons tech, he can just ignore revives and take out Jango just like that and get the win with a random team. So General Skywalker is no problem now, right? And same with Darth Revan. Super easy. One final thing I want to point out, one piece of positivity I think that it's really going to make an impact in 3v3. People hate timeout teams. They just do. 3v3 is frustrating event for a lot of people because they hate the presence of teams like Stormtrooper Han and Barriss and Vendor Chewbacca, or I don't know. I just listed 3 annoying characters and put them in the same team. That's probably not the hardest team, but you get the picture. Like, there are timeout teams that can't actually hurt your team, but they won't die. And now we actually have a tool available to just wipe those teams out easily in the form of the Mandalorian. He's got Annihilate. Normally, where you want to save Nihilus for these timeout teams, just to be able to take out these timeout teams. Jedi Training Rey can do that. And finally, Mandalorian is just going to demolish them. We're not going to see them nearly as much because Gear 8 Mandalorian, well, maybe Gear 8 is still a little too low, but you get the picture. Like, pretty low level Mandalorian is going to be able to kill Relic 7 Stormtrooper Han with no problem at all. And it's exciting and fun because it'll make 3v3 more dynamic. Timeout teams, I don't know about you guys. You log in, you face 11 timeout teams, and you can do it if you bring the right teams, but sometimes it's a slog. And man, if you misjudge the mechanics, it can just take a while. Mandalorian is your one get out of jail free card. Just in the show, of course, he actually put some people in jail, but in the case of this game, he will bail you out against one team of the right type. He's not going to beat Darth Revan unless you have him geared and tooled to do just that, but he's going to go in and completely wreck a Relic 7 timeout team at Gear 11, 3 stars. And I'm really excited about that. People are going to have to be more mindful and thoughtful about what they set on defense And my Mandalorian is only gear 8. I'm frantically farming Carbanti, of all things. I had enough Chirotech, had enough stun guns, stuck on Carbanti. So, go figure. But anyways, folks, I am going to leave you here. Hope this wasn't too long. I hope it was helpful. If it was helpful, I would really appreciate a like or a sub or both. And I'm going to be doing all videos for this coming season. Really excited. Hopefully I can get my computer up and running and we can do some live streams. And one way or another, we will be doing live streams with Solo Base. I'll also have the podcast going about 3v3. Lots of different things to look forward to. I am having a ton of fun doing all this content creation stuff. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.